he had to wrap it around his arm to come up out of there?
Dog walking.
Come on, Ha.
Then they called the police.
What made you...
I thought he was an intruder.
On June 10th, 2026, Club Shay Shay dropped their interview with HaHa Davis. Overall, the numbers were not quite what you might expect for a sit-down of that profile, but certain clips from it did find their audience and circulate well on their own. For those who may not be as familiar, HaHa Davis is an internet comedian who has been in the game for a while. In a lot of ways, he was doing what Dr. Drewski later became known for, just on a different scale and without the same mainstream crossover moment. His style of humor built him a loyal following, and over time, his content has increasingly featured his girlfriend alongside him. Her name online is Ridiculously Bomb, and she goes by Melly. If you follow HaHa Davis at all, you have probably seen her appear in his skits with noticeable regularity. She has become a consistent presence in his content. Now, here is where the context matters before we get into what was said on the podcast. Melly is openly bisexual. It is stated directly in her bio. She is also a massage therapist, and from what is publicly known, she has an OnlyFans presence as well. None of that is hidden or speculative. She has been transparent about who she is. So now that we have a clearer picture of her background, the question becomes what exactly HaHa Davis chose to open up about when he sat down with Shannon Sharpe. Because what he admitted on that podcast is what made this interview worth talking about.
Those in that dog.
Y'all have it?
We have. Like, just try to keep me happy. Like, we've done those swing. They call it swinging. Yeah, we did a little swinging.
She agreed to it?
Yeah, he did a little swinging.
So let's talk about this whole idea of swinging. A lot of guys, especially once they become major internet personalities, comedians, athletes, or whatever category you want to put them in, tend to establish certain boundaries and arrangements in their relationships. Many of them end up dating women who are very sexually open and willing to experiment. And honestly, that is one of the reasons why OnlyFans creators and women with that lifestyle seem to keep coming out on top. What usually happens is they'll get involved with someone like Ridiculous Bomb, and because of the type of relationship they have, she might be comfortable with him having threesomes involving her and other women. Then, the longer you stay involved with somebody like that, the further you move up what I call the booty clapping index. Eventually, you reach a point where there's almost nothing left that feels new anymore. It's kind of like starting with drinking, then moving to weed, and before you know it, you're on crack. That's basically how their relationship progressed. You get involved with the booty clapper, you get to enjoy having her and other women, but sooner or later you end up having to dive headfirst into,
Somebody else doing it to your lady.
That's what I'm saying, though. So what did she say with hey, Carlos?
No, after we got done, she tried to come to get the hell off of me. I just seen that man put you. I'm talking about he done turned you away but loose. I didn't left her with him. You hear me? Cool. Cause it was like when you want to have fun, you want to have fun in your life. That was, you know what I mean?
That was a one-time thing, though, right?
Oh, of course. I would never.
So, according to the story, HaHa Davis finally reached his breaking point. Allegedly, his girl ended up being with another guy, and he was so bothered by the situation that he never wanted something like that to happen again. Remember, they were supposedly involved in this swinging lifestyle. Now, I'm pretty sure HaHa Davis was off doing his own thing as well, but while he was occupied, another dude apparently made a much bigger impression with his woman. Allegedly, that really got to him. But that's when the conversation started getting even more interesting. One person said, "Look, you were doing so well." I said, "I know she doesn't want this after that." Everybody burst out laughing. Another person jumped in and said, "I know you don't. There ain't no way you want this after what he just did. There's just no way. You can't even be in the same room. You've got to be somewhere else telling yourself, well, I know what's happening and all that. There's no way you could actually sit there and watch that." Another person agreed and said, "Look, I've seen it one time. I know exactly what you mean." Then somebody else couldn't believe what they were hearing and said, "Oh, come on, man. Oh, man, I don't know what." Another voice chimed in and joked that the other guy had completely taken over and had full control of his woman. Everybody reacted with disbelief, yelling, "Damn, damn, damn," followed by screaming and even more laughter. According to the jokes being made, the guy was putting on such a performance that everyone was stunned. But somehow, the story got even crazier. One person then asked, "Come on, haha, didn't he call the police? What made you?" Before another person quickly interrupted and joked he was an intruder. That immediately sent everybody into laughter again. They joked that the situation was so wild that he almost called the police. According to them, that was some serious booty clapping. And the reason all of this stood out to me was that I was genuinely curious about how people were going to react once this entire situation started making the rounds.
Be asking for three ways and to be swingers and all that, baby. I want something for me. Mama gotta have a life too. Whether that's two pinweens or a pinween and some twat, I'm gonna get my pick at the litter. And she not wrong.
This guy was apparently ready to get physical with his own partner over the situation. Someone called him out directly and told him he needed to take the video down immediately after admitting he was ready to put his hands on her, calling him diabolically out of his mind for even going there. Now, as far as people labeling him a simp or a pushover, that conversation is really not the most important thing here. People like what they like, and relationship dynamics vary widely, especially among celebrities and people with significant money and opportunity. Adam 22 is a well-known example of someone who lives that lifestyle openly. These kinds of unconventional relationship arrangements exist more commonly than people want to acknowledge publicly. That part alone is not really the core issue. The real issue, the thing that actually matters here, is the threat of physical violence. The moment someone admits they were ready to hurt their partner, everything else becomes secondary. That crosses a line that no relationship dynamic or personal lifestyle choice can justify or excuse. That is where the conversation needs to actually focus.
Comedian HaHa Davis is behind bars for no laughing matter here. He is accused of domestic violence. The Detroit native, whose real name is Carlos Davis, was arrested by Utica police on Friday. Investigators haven't released any additional information on the victims. We don't know much about the circumstances. Davis is being held at the Macomb County Jail on a $5,000 cash surety bond.
Now, what's interesting is that just last year, this same woman ended up calling the police on HaHa Davis. And honestly, that's the part that matters the most here, not the fact that he watched her get involved with somebody else. The reason I say that is that relationships like this are replaceable. I know some people watching, especially women, may not like hearing that, but just hear me out. This woman openly likes women as well. You can go to her page and see her dancing and hanging around with other females. We can't even show some of it. Money everywhere, attention everywhere. The point is, women like that aren't exactly rare. There's nothing that makes the situation impossible to move on from. If he didn't like what happened, he could have simply walked away. But here's where things become more serious. She called the police on him, and he almost ended up in jail. I remember covering that story when it happened, and after all of that, he still got back together with her. So honestly, I don't really care about the whole arrangement where two people agree to live a certain lifestyle. That's their business. What stands out to me is the fact that somebody you can move on from ends up bringing the police into the situation, and you still decide to go back. That's where the real issue begins. And this is something a lot of men deal with. I've experienced it myself. Sometimes, as guys level up in life, certain women are only meant to be around temporarily. They're there for a season, for the experience, and I don't just mean romantically. You start making money, and suddenly you have access to things you never had before. You finally get the beautiful woman you always wanted, the kind of woman who probably would have never looked your way when you were struggling financially. Fine, you got her now, you love her, you want her, you appreciate her. This is the same woman who may have never given you a chance when you were broke, but that's okay because now you're together. But eventually, your life starts heading in one direction while hers stays in another. And at some point, you realize you can't keep carrying the relationship forever because now the situation is becoming too costly, emotionally and otherwise, and eventually it's time to let go. Here's the problem though. A lot of guys put these women on such a high pedestal that when the relationship finally ends and she goes back to her old lifestyle, whether that's being an OnlyFans creator or whatever lane she's in, she discovers that the world doesn't revolve around her the way she thought. She became used to somebody like HaHa Davis accepting behavior that other men might not tolerate. But if she had to start over tomorrow, she'd be competing with countless others. She's not the only option. A lot of people go from feeling like number one to realizing they're simply one among many. And sometimes men don't recognize the leverage they actually have. If a woman files a domestic violence report against you and you end up dealing with legal issues because of it, only to remain in that same relationship afterward, then the problem is much deeper than people simply saying, "Oh, he's a simp." No, this points to a bigger issue. Because the reality is, somebody in HaHa Davis's position can always find another relationship. And trust me, he's probably around plenty of women all the time, as long as he's willing to spend the money.